What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Reel Junkies. I'm your host, Farhan, here again with my man Vito, coming at you today with 28 years later, for most people, long anticipated sequel to 28 Days and 28 Weeks Later. I became a viewer of these movies very late into my film fandom. And by late, I mean about a couple weeks ago. So like the 28 years franchise wasn't something that like I built up anticipation along with like the people who were the core fans of this.
Hold on a minute.
What?
So you just now seeing them like this year?
Yes, to my first time watching 28 Days Later was this year.
I thought you had seen these before already.
No.
Okay.
They were movies that were on my radar to watch, but I just never gotten around to. So I have seen 28 Days Later, didn't get around to 28 Weeks Later, but from what I've heard from people who've reviewed this movie or people I've spoken to who have seen all three, this movie retconned a lot of 28 Weeks Later, which I don't even think 28 Weeks Later wasn't even directed by Danny Boyle, wasn't written by Alex Garland. So it's kind of like a different vision anyway. So this is probably more the truer sequel to 28 Days Later. So I really feel like 28 Days Later is probably the only required viewing to kind of appreciate this movie at least. And even then, not really, because they kind of put a beginning blurb, like a beginning paragraph, just to give you like an idea of the world. Like, hey, the rage virus broke out across the UK. They kept it out of continental Europe. It's pretty much just in Britain, and they quarantined Britain, and the survivors in there are basically just left to survive on their own, essentially. So that's essentially the gist. One thing I've noticed about this franchise, at least from 28 Days Later to this, is there's a very particular way it's shot and a very particular way that scenes are presented that's kind of unique, especially for a zombie movie. It has like almost like a very grainy like way that it's shot. I don't really know how to describe it exactly, but it's definitely unique to this franchise. 28 Days Later was shot very similar.
When I seen again, so this is the first one I've seen, but I've seen clips of 28 Days Later, and to me, it feels like it's shot on like a old recording.
Yeah, I mean, like, this one was shot on iPhones.
Like, so. If you was it really shot on iPhone?
Yes, I didn't believe it at first when someone told me that, but no, this movie was used shooting iPhones.
That's wild. So the original, like I said, the 28 Days Later, to me, like, because like I said, the grainy part of it, it looks like you're watching a home video. Almost. And that's what I mean. That's what I mean when I say like I feel like it was shot on like a old camera, like not studio camera. I mean, like it's my 8th birthday party, and my mama got to record the camera out, so we can have some memories of me and my sister in this blue and red jean outfits.
Yeah, no, that is accurate. I ain't gonna lie. Like the way this is shot it's unique. That's the only word I got for it. It's unique and it's different. I don't necessarily want to say it's bad because it's obviously worked for this franchise because that is kind of its calling card, and this franchise has a pretty established fan base of it. But it's definitely jarring, or not. I don't even want to say jarring. It takes some getting used to for someone getting introduced to this franchise to be like, oh, okay, this is a different way from how I'm used to films being presented. It's like, it's not quite Belly, but like there were parts that reminded me of how Belly was shot. You know what I'm saying? To me personally, I don't know if that's just a me thing, but there were like certain parts between really this movie more so than 28 Days Later where I watched it and I was like, I don't know why this feels like a scene shot out of Belly. It's like if they just took Belly and made it about zombies.
So can you kind of elaborate on? It's been a minute since I've seen Belly. To be honest.
So to me, Belly is like kind of similar, shot in like a very grainy kind of way. But like to me, the only thing that like for me personally that I don't like about the way Belly was shot is Belly looks like it was shot like a music video.
Are you speaking of how it displays or
yes, how it displays?
Okay.
Like how it displays, like not environment or anything like that, but I'm talking about like how like the scenes are displayed, like how they look.
I just want to make sure I was keeping up with what you was
I'm literally just talking about how the scenes look, nothing else. There's no other comparison between Belly and this movie other than that. There's really no other way I could compare those two.
Well,
I want to see how you're about to do this.
If again, remember I said I haven't seen it in a while. If I'm remembering correctly, there are a few scenes in Belly where they play like random ass clips and invert and input it within like scenes of the movie.
So I don't remember exactly.
I could be lying, but
I don't remember exactly because like you, it's been a while since I've seen Belly. Because what I'm trying to remember is if that is the case, are those scenes related to the actual story and pushing the story forward? Because in this film, you're right, they do have a lot of cutaways and just different random shots that are like in between scenes. Like, you know, there's scenes of the main character Spike and his dad, who's played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, when they're, you know, on their first little adventure and they're going through different parts of the mainland that they call it.
That
And
nigga
it'll
ain't
be
never
like
fast enough in nothing he in.
ever. And like not in anything, like ever. But in this, it felt like there were scenes where, you know, they're traveling through the mainland and then they'll like stop and look and it'll just cut to like you know, a random scene of zombies eating somebody, or it'll cut to like a scene of like old military footage.
So
But
that's more so what I was thinking about when they were showing the kids shoot the bow and arrow, and then it would cut back to, like I said, he was shooting, but then it cut back to them training them how to shoot it. Then it cut back to like Middle Ages war type situation.
Yeah.
And I'm be honest with you, that kind of like that kind of took me out of it a few times.
I wasn't
I'm
a fan
like,
of that. Yeah.
yeah, okay. We on the
No,
same
no,
page.
we're on the same page there. That wasn't really something I was a fan of. It felt, now that did feel jarring because it was like, you know, at least the scenes with the zombies didn't feel as jarring, the cutaways, because after a while you realize like, oh, these are connected to the story somehow. They're showing you context of certain things.
That helped honestly put me into the, and I don't know if we said this before, but I don't like horror movies and I hate zombie movies. All right.
Yeah, this was a bad one for you to watch.
But I will say, I don't want to say I enjoyed the movie, but I liked it. It was okay.
For a horror zombie movie, you can tolerate this one.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, most zombie movies I don't really consider horror movies because the zombies are so terribly done. Which I'll get on that in a minute. But okay, yeah. So those cutaway scenes, honestly, that helped build that kind of, that I don't want to say fear, but the anticipation of what's happening next. And I'll say
the tension almost.
Yeah, because you see a zombie crawling, and then like it'll do a cutback of like him running and falling or some shit and stumbling at night. And like, because that's when they were on the mainland, it was during the day. So the original, but you'll see that cutaway to it at night. You're like, oh shit, like, and you'll see them eating something. And you're like, yo, okay, so this is how it got here. So we kind of see how, we kind of see how they got here, but the characters don't. So we talked about this when we talked about Sinners. Sinners to me was not a horror movie because it didn't put any fear into me. All the fear was on the cast of the movie. But here they kind of wanted us to be fearful of the zombies because the characters, now there may have been a few scenes where there was some shit going on, they need to be fearful, but like they were still, to them it's like regular shit.
Yeah, like seeing a zombie is regular to them.
Yeah,
well,
even like running
except
into
for one of them. Yeah, except for one of them, but we'll get to that later.
Listen, we about to go in because
that was so unnecessary. But I don't need.
It's a lot.
We want to rant about it now because
we talk. So the first time we seen this shit, I'm like, okay, I don't need to see this. I don't need to see my man Schlong. And that was the first alpha when he's running. I'm like,
I'm like, nigga, y'all couldn't have gave him like nothing to cover that up. It's just straight.
We see the second alpha, Samson, and this nigga just slanging, and so I'm
free balling like a motherfucker.
Okay, bro, I was gonna mention it here, and that was gonna be it. But then I kept seeing fucking posts. I was like, they talk about something we call 28 inches later. Like, people are going in because the first question I asked was, where were their clothes?
Yeah, this is. I also want to say this is a new development. Granted, the title is actually the time frame from when the outbreak started. So, like in the original one, 28 days later, it's literally 28 days after the outbreak started. Right. So in that film, zombies are pretty much fully clothed, but most of these people have recently turned into zombies. It's only been about a month since the outbreak started. This one is 28 years later, so now you see zombies there's different types of zombies, which wasn't really a thing you saw in 28 Days Later. They're forming like kind of their own pseudo society in certain ways. So there's differences that they're having kids now. Like, you know what I'm saying? There's a difference in the way they're functioning in this. But I agree with you, seeing them just completely unclothed and then seeing the alpha just kind of slanging, like, we ain't need that, bro. We ain't need that.
For that,
it was just unnecessary.
This is my thing with the clothes. I think the only zombie that I seen with clothes on was the pregnant lady,
and even she just had like a little like a little flannel jacket, like it wasn't really covering shit.
I wish I mean, and again, I know that these motherfuckers ain't got news where they at, so it's hard to get information. But and we only see one village in this whole in the world of this, and then we hear about everything else that's going on. But my whole thing is people were still being turned into zombies because people are still going out and they're running into zombies, especially with these alphas who are fucking tanks.
Yes.
They kind of mention how they may become alphas, but the whole thing, like I said, the whole thing with the clothes was it's like a nigga get turned into zombies and they kill the first nigga next to him, then they just be like, get rid of this. I don't need this on.
Just like, yes, fuck it.
Because the pregnant lady, she didn't get pregnant as a zombie. At least I'm assuming she didn't get pregnant.
We
as a
really
zombie.
don't know.
And that's
it's hard
that's
to tell. They don't really tell
because I don't see them fucking.
There were a lot of questions when I saw the pregnant zombie. I'm like, how did this work? And how did this happen?
So this is why I don't believe. And then I'll let you get us back on track after we finish the whole pregnant zombie thing. When they become a zombie, their whole genetics is being changed.
Like they're literally one track. That's what the rage virus does. So, like it's rage.
If they're fucking and she gets pregnant somehow, that baby should have came out as a zombie. Because that's how the genetics work. You know, but so I'm thinking she got pregnant
as a human.
They were going somewhere and then she got attacked. But also the way the zombies attacking here is very inconsistent.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they're ripping motherfuckers apart. Sometimes they just bite them long enough for them to get up and become a zombie there also.
Yeah. Unless you run to the alpha and then you get a Mortal Kombat fatality.
Every fucking time, like this nigga really loves head.
Hey.
This nigga.
Hey, bro, stop. I'm not letting you do that shit, bro. Stop.
Did he not, bro? This nigga took the head and the spinal cord off, bro. Every time. The goat that was there, nigga, about 3 people, dog. And I'm a wait to say the last part that I hated about this alpha nigga and the humans that were around this nigga. But so what kind of gives me the part that, like you said, there was maybe they had sex as zombies was the way that Samson was going after them for the pregnant woman.
When he saw that she was dead, he blacked out. Like he already got the rage virus, but you could tell he tapped into another gear after he saw that. So that's why I'm thinking, okay, maybe Samson is the daddy here, but it was just a lot of things that didn't make sense to me about how 2 zombies would conceive a human child. So
exactly. So I'm
kind of with you on that.
What I'm thinking before or after that was, okay, she got turned after she got pregnant. She got turned. Samson might have already been Samson, and he's an alpha at this point. But like you said, she joined his tribe, whatever group he's a part of. She was able to join. So in his mind, she's a part of us. You hurting one of us. I don't know what the issue is, but she's screaming in pain. That's my cue to get active.
Yeah.
Because like you said, he looked at her. I don't even think he's seen the kid. He ran up, looked at her, and lost it.
Yeah.
And started chasing them again. And I forgot about that scene. That was a whole fucking full frontal nudity scene. And again, why the fuck did we need that?
We didn't. We did not. There's a couple complaints I have of this movie. Overall, I enjoyed it. Kind of. I don't really fully understand a lot of the ways I feel about this movie yet, because there's things I really like, and then the things I don't like are like egregious enough to affect the things I do like. You know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know. I'm kind of battling with how I feel about this movie a little bit. But some things that to me stuck out as flaws is this movie really felt like 2 separate films at certain points. Like you have the beginning part where, Spike is with his dad, Aaron Taylor Johnson. They're going off to the mainland. They're killing zombies. He's trying to train Spike, his son, kind of to be a warrior a little bit, how to fight in this world that's very cruel. And then they come back, they get chased by the alpha. they make it back to their village in time. The alpha gets killed. And then the whole second half of this movie is like a complete 180. And now Spike is going out into the mainland with his mother, who is sick. We don't know the illness she has yet, but we know she's sick, and we know that she's not doing too well. And Spike, after he comes back with his dad, converses with one of the people in the village. They tell him about this doctor.
Let me stop you before you finish, man. I'm sorry. I got to stop you because Spike is 12, and I don't know if
young.
I don't know if we said this yet, but we gonna throw some spoilers in here. Y'all already know it. So
yeah,
you ain't seen the
too
movie
late for that point.
I mean that wasn't as bad though that we talked about, but it's about to be.
Yeah, it's about to be.
in the movie Spike is 12, and they make a point for us to know that most people that go out to become hunters in this village that they're in, they start at 14.
Yeah.
And he's pushing Spike to go at 12.
Yeah.
And the nigga should have waited till he was 14. Because I mean, obviously, it's your first time going out experiencing these zombies. There's going to be fear.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of shit that Spike did out there that I'm like, okay, maybe they should have waited till he was 14. He was a little bit older. He got a little stronger with that bow. He got a little stronger with running. He's able to control us a little more. He's able to jump up on his own and get into these high places that they need to.
Mm-hmm.
And the second one was going into a group with a group of just 2 was insane.
Yeah, that was an interesting choice.
And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, okay, maybe that's just how they do it. They do it in groups of 2 because the leader of the village says the way our village works, you can leave whenever you want to and you can come back, but nobody's coming to save you. That's how we lose members. And I'm like, okay, so only so many people can go out at the same time. But then the father is telling the story like which you was talking about the doctor, and I'll let you finish that. But he's talking about saying how many people went out in this group. And I think they show a flashback of like 3 or 4 of them out there.
It was like, I think it was like 2 or 3 of them. Yeah, it wasn't that many, but
it
was
wasn't
more
a
than
large group, but like
but it was
2
it was more. It
2
was
is
more than
insane,
2,
especially knowing that you have these alphas out here and your bow and arrow is not going to do anything. Y'all got these little switchblades that y'all are carrying. Y'all don't have take a spear, my nigga. A spear would have went right through that nigga neck because you seen when they shot that bow, that nigga said, boop.
You feel me?
He
like,
smacked
that
the
shit
shit
didn't
out
do
the arrow.
nothing.
Nah, a few of them went into him. That's why they telling you, hey, shoot for the head, shoot for the head, shoot for the head. They went into his chest and he kept running.
Yeah.
Did not stop that nigga. And then he even slapped a few of them out of the way. I'm assuming those are the ones that were meant for his head.
Yeah.
But that part was just very like I said, they should have waited till he was 14 because he made a lot of mistakes, even to the point where you were making where second half of the movie where he goes out with his mother and this nigga don't know shit.
Yeah, it's very clear that he's just kind of winging it at that point. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's even a scene where he kind of gets caught lacking by one of the lower tier zombies.
Very low.
The very low tier zombies. Like, they crawl slow as hell. They start eating shoestrings thinking it's a worm.
He looked like a giant baby.
Yeah, these are like the low. I don't really know what other character I could compare it to, but it's like a very low tier zombie. It's like, for those of you who've seen Dune, it's like the Baron from Dune, but like
Exactly
completely remedial. Like completely remedial, but like similar appearance. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of similar appearance. So like him getting caught lacking from that and his mom who's sick being the one that has to come in and save the day is like, y'all really shouldn't be out here. Like, y'all are going to die. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very clear y'all are not equipped to be out here dealing with the obstacles and the challenges and the life-threatening situations that are going to come at you being in the mainland with a 12-year-old and a sick mom.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I was waiting on the credits to start rolling that entire time. Please take this nigga out. Please take his mama out.
But here's the thing, though. I think the second half of this movie is better than the first half of this movie. Personally,
no, I
because the relationship between Spike and Aaron Taylor Johnson was cool. Like, it was cool to see that father-son dynamic. But to me, the strongest character moments in this movie come between Spike, his mom, and then when Ralph Fiennes' character, the Dr. Kelson, comes in. Like, those to me are the strongest character scenes in this movie.
I'm glad you just mentioned Dr. Kelsey because I want you to get us back on track.
Yeah. No, I think that scene where Dr. Kelsey comes in after the alpha chases them and we see more of the alpha than I would like to see.
A fucking third time.
Yeah, like they were beating this point home that, hey y'all, we got this new zombie and he's butt ass naked. Like they hammered that point home. They made sure the audience knew that. But after, Dr. Kelsey comes in, kind of saves them from Samson, that's what he calls the alpha. Gives him he shoots him with a sedative dart, basically.
It's like morphine and something else.
It was something that's supposed to put him out, basically.
How this nigga still got all this morphine and whatever else he got 28 years later.
He a doctor, nigga. That's why. Because the script says he's a doctor and doctors have doctor shit. Like, that's kind of how I explain some shit that happens in movies sometimes.
You just got it. The script said it. That's
the script, because the script said so. That's sometimes that is the explanation on why shit happens.
I mean, I guess that's real.
Like, we can sit here thinking about the logic behind how this happened. No, nigga, the script said so. That's why that happened. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. The script said so.
The nigga was insane.
And he was insane. He had him like he had his whole body covered in some kind of material. I don't really.
I think he said iodine.
It was something he said. It was something that like the virus doesn't like, or something that the virus rejects or like wants to stay away from. So we like covered his whole body in it basically. And you know they link up with him. They go back to I don't even know what the fuck to call it.
The Bone Temple.
The Bone Temple, I guess.
Which is a sequel to this movie they are making that's supposed to release sometime beginning of next year.
Yeah, beginning of next year. So some Bone Temple looking
will
thing.
not be seeing that. I'm gonna be honest with you because
I feel it.
Again, like I said, I didn't mind this movie. I didn't hate this movie. It was okay to me. I liked it, but I really didn't enjoy it.
Yeah,
I don't see myself watching a sequel to this.
That's fair. That's a somewhat similar. I did enjoy enough parts of this movie, but it wasn't like
yeah, I enjoyed parts of it for sure.
This movie I was like kind of in and out with my interest. Like there were scenes where I was sitting up in my chair, like okay, y'all got me, and there were other scenes where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just kind of wait until shit picks back up. Like I was kind of going back and forth, like watching this movie, kind of like that, like of being interested and then not interested. That's why I was like, I'm kind of battling with how I feel about this movie because I don't really have like a definitive idea just yet. Like I do and I don't, if that makes sense.
So
like I have a rating in my head, but that may change by next week when I think about this movie some more.
I was really hoping that, like I said, I hate zombie movies for the way that zombies are portrayed. Zombies are dead. Okay, so their bodies are decaying.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, like I said, it's a long time that they be. You have a decaying body for it. Once you run, you put enough force on that leg, it's going to break.
Mm-hmm. You're
not going to be ripping people apart. Your arm will fall off before that happens. Mm-hmm. So when you watch something like The Walking Dead and they're talking about these zombies, I don't know if there's any special zombies in there. I only made it to the 3rd season, I think. But the zombies should not be able to take over like this. I don't care how many people they kill, especially when you got the army and tanks and the zombies you can just run these motherfuckers over, to be honest with you. So I thought, like I said, I read a few synopsis of the first one before I watched this one, and they were explaining about the virus and everything. But then, obviously, in it written down doesn't do it justice in film. So when I see it and it says it's a rage virus, I mean, so technically they're not supposed to be zombies.
They don't really call them zombies in this movie outside of one scene. And they didn't call them zombies in 28 Days Later either.
I think it was the army guy that called them a zombie, right?
Yeah, that's the first time in this franchise I've heard them referred to as zombies.
So with the rage virus, it's just basically it's supposed to be a nigga on roid rage all the time, 24/7 roid rage.
Yeah.
And that's why the big guys made sense. Because they say it was something with steroids and this and this. And I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. This don't make sense. This mutation doesn't make sense, but I'm gonna rock with y'all. So that's my thinking so I'm thinking this virus, they're not dead, they're not decaying, but they are. They're dying, they're decaying. On top of that, I think most of these zombies have to be new. It's because everything around, most of the shit that's around them is zombies. Even some of the animals are zombies or has this virus, so they're not eating that.
Yeah.
And even when they do eat people or animals, they're not eating enough of them to fill themselves up because they're turning them. So I don't care what type of virus you got, you still gonna need sustenance. So you need that food, and they're not eating, they're not drinking water. So these zombies lasting this long, honestly, the best way to beat a zombie apocalypse is to let it die out.
So I see where you're coming from as far as the type of zombies you're thinking of. Based on watching 28 Days Later in this, I don't really think the rage virus operates that way. Like
I don't think it operates anyway.
Yeah, like it doesn't really feel like
exactly what you just said. It operates the way that the script wants them to.
I mean, well, yeah, facts on that. But like, I think I see some consistencies. Well, having context of the first movie, I do see consistencies between the rage virus in that movie and in this movie. Only difference with this movie is there's just new types of zombies that weren't in the original. Like that's really the only difference.
And I'll give you 28 years, mutations will happen from a virus.
Yeah, 28 years after a virus, like I could see, it makes sense that 28 years into a virus, that new strands of the virus would exist and there would be new types of infected, as they call them, because they don't call them zombies.
Shit, we got a new COVID fucking 4 years after that.
You feel me? So like viruses mutate and they do change. So to me, it does make sense that we would get new zombies and that they would be around for this long because they don't really establish it's not like they established like, oh, here's what the rage virus needs to survive, or the rage virus needs that. Like, they don't really establish that, to my knowledge, that I can remember, between 28 days later in this film. So there isn't like a clear, like, they need this amount of food or this amount of water, or they need to have this type of habitat, or the only thing about the virus we've really learned was from Dr. Kelso when he said, yeah, this substance, the virus doesn't like it. So other than that, they don't really, and we know that the virus spreads through blood. Like, that's one way the virus can spread outside of getting bit. That's why when when Spike's mom gets the blood on her face, he's like, hey, no, don't blink, don't touch it, I'm gonna just wipe it off, but don't do anything, because that's another way the virus can spread. There's a scene actually in 28 Days Later, a pretty tragic one at that, where the main characters, Cillian Murphy and Naomi Harris, they link up with this family.
Hey, say it right the next time.
What?
The beautiful, the gorgeous Naomi Harris.
Right? The beautiful, gorgeous Naomi Harris. My bad, my brother. I apologize.
Wasn't she in James Bond? I believe she's in one of James Bond.
She was. Yeah, she was. Come
on, man, get it right.
Yes, the what is it again? The beautiful and the gorgeous Naomi Harris and Cillian Murphy. They link up with this family, and it was like well, not really a family. It's a dad and his daughter, and they continue the rest of their adventure to try to find this military group that they're seeking help from. And that's kind of like the core plot of the movie, is they're trying to make it to this not distress signal, but like a, hey, if you need help, come here type. Yeah, like a help place, that like a military checkpoint, basically.
How did that turn out for them?
Not great. But when they got there, like the father, they run into some like, I think a dead infected, or like some kind of infected, and like the blood from it gets into the dad's eye, and that turns him. He didn't get bit. He didn't get attacked. Like, a drop of blood in his eye turned him. You know what I'm saying? So those are really the only rules of the rage virus that have been established so far. Other than that, we're just kind of going off of what the script tells us about the virus at this point. Because from what I've seen between the first film and this one, they haven't really given us a whole lot. Like, I know more about the cordyceps virus in The Last of Us than I do about the rage virus, as far as how it functions. You know what I'm saying?
So that's actually my problem with the movie. Like I said, I didn't see the first one, so I don't have any information going from there. Now I do, and that would have been a nice spot for the soldiers. Or I guess he was in the Navy, so he was a sailor. Which that whole thing kind of was weird how that worked. But somebody should have, to have a little bit more information about how this virus works.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a way to just keep doing whatever the fuck you want to do by keeping it vague and not giving any information. But that actually bothers me, because, like you said, I can only go off of what I see. Yeah. You don't need food, you don't need water. But again, with a virus needs energy to feed.
It does.
So
yes.
if I'm not getting water, I'm not getting food, I'm going to die. Now, the human body can survive without water and food for only so long. So that's what I mean with, like, I hate zombie movies, because they try and say, okay, well, this is science fiction. I'm fine with that, but can we have a little more fiction into this? Because we're basing all of this off of science. The Last of Us virus, I don't know what the fuck those are. Those little fucking, it's sprouting shit. To me, they become plants at a certain point. But
well, the cordyceps fungus is like, that's a real fungus.
Okay, so see,
that's a real fungus that actually exists. They just fictionalized it so that it can infect humans.
So, like I said, when you have these zombies, which again, zombies in almost every iteration is done terribly.
Yeah,
that's why I don't like zombie movies, because I can turn off my suspension of disbelief for a lot of things, but the zombies, that really gets me, because again, with science fiction, you want to add a little science, you want to add a little fiction. I think with zombies, put a little more into it. Tell me that, hey, a wizard turned this motherfucker into an undying zombie where it has to be killed this way. It doesn't decay. It's just where it's at right now, and that's how it works. I'm fine with that. But when you just tell me, yeah, they got this virus, that nigga gonna, if he bites you, you gonna turn into him or some shit like that.
I'm about to get him, y'all.
Because, well, hold on. Because even the big fat zombies.
Yeah.
What the fuck are they eating? We seen this nigga eating worms out the ground.
No, those I have no explanation.
How is this nigga getting that big? The only one that made sense to me, or they tried to make it make sense, was the alphas. Hey, it got something to do with steroids and the mutation. I don't know how it works. Neither do we.
Yeah.
The nigga that wrote the movie don't know how it works.
He just knows he wanted a zombie in here slanging. That's all he knows. Pause, but hey, that's what happened.
He wanted an alpha in a movie, and he made an alpha.
Yeah.
Even the way the alphas just operated. Niggas start screaming and they start running straight for them. Nigga, what?
Yeah, it was.
How does this work, my nigga?
Yeah, it was. But to get back to my point, though, that I was going to have about you. So you mean to tell me the things you saw in this movie that's already established it's about zombies, so it's already fictionalized, is hard for you to believe. However, you can comfortably watch Vin Diesel catch a woman mid-air from one car to another and land on the windshield and not have so much as a scratch on him.
So you ready?
You can watch Vin Diesel grab two chains, pull them down, and the entire roof of the building falls down like this nigga's the Incredible Hulk. There's not an ounce of what's supposed to be fiction in these Fast and Furious
you
movies.
thought you got me, right? You thought you got me. I just
want to understand where the line is with you, my brother. That's all I'm trying to understand.
I can turn off my suspension of disbelief for a lot of things. Fast and Furious is one of them. I don't care what niggas say. That is science fiction at this point. There's no way.
It's fiction at this point. Fuck science fiction. Like, that's just fiction.
There's no way in hell this nigga jumped 300, 400 feet in a fucking Ferrari with no fucking space to take off into this other building. It didn't happen. Like, I'm okay.
More than once.
Him getting flung from his car, how he made it fling and hit him at such an angle that he was going to grab this woman out of thin air. He knew exactly at what angle she was going to launch. That's why I say it's science fiction, bro, because you need some science to be able to determine at what I'm going 50 miles an hour. This is going 80 miles an hour. If it's launched off,
racer,
if it's launched off at
point, is not a rocket scientist. He's a fucking street racer.
And I launch off at point B, what velocity do I need to be going to intercept this object? That is the science part, okay?
Okay, I'll give you that if we were talking about Reed Richards. This nigga's a street racer.
First of all,
a street racer.
We've already determined that these niggas ain't just street racers. Remember fucking Taj? This nigga's
you're right. They're street racers / spies. How they turn into spies, I don't know, but they turn into spies.
You know. After the one that you didn't feel like was jumping the shark, 5, when they fucking dragged the fucking
that wasn't jumping compared to what we've seen since then.
No, that was jumping the shark because that's when it got even more ridiculous. Now, has it gone even more ridiculous since then? Yes,
10 times more. That's one of the more grounded things they've done. Actually,
that was the start of it going insane. Because why was fucking The Rock, who I believe worked for the diplomatic security services?
The fact that you remember.
Why was he chasing them? You work for the diplomatic security. You know what?
That's not even the craziest part about that.
You know what a diplomat is? They not looking at the Vin Diesel nigga. The FBI, the fucking U.S. Marshals working in the confines of most of the time. They go chase niggas out of the country though. The FBI should have been chasing him. The CIA should have been chasing him. The fucking U.S. Marshals should have been chasing him. And you know what? I'm gonna stop because you got me started about these fucking movies, which I still enjoy. I can watch these. I can get rid of my suspension of disbelief. But you know what? I don't believe that this shit is real. I don't believe that this can happen. And it starts in reality with this. I'm calling it science fiction, but the car part, most of it, you know, they be like, hey, this car can go this fast. Nah, when this nigga started putting fucking Mountain Dew into his nitrous container, he can drive down a fucking dam with his wheels on fire.
I forgot about that scene, actually.
It's fucking ridiculous, yes.
You're reminding me of shit now. That's how much ridiculous shit has happened. I forgot. There's so much ridiculous shit that's happened. I forgot about some of the ridiculous shit.
But I've said it time and time again. A movie can be, I don't think they're bad. I enjoy them. I don't give a fuck. But a movie can be bad to me and I can still enjoy it. Suicide Squad, that shit was, it was a terrible movie. But I enjoyed the first Suicide Squad movie.
Fair.
But like with this, like I said, with the zombie thing, it's not just the zombies in this movie. It's the zombies in every.
You're speaking in general of just how zombies are portrayed across
they keep
all
being
movies,
portrayed badly. Now, 28 days later, I think that's the one where okay, we really have to fight these zombies to survive, or we're going to die. Fucking 28 years later, nigga. We should have had this shit under control. They're talking about, oh yeah, we do the Swedes, the French, the Germans. They do patrols around England to make sure they don't say it like that, but
to make sure that everything that's in Britain stays in Britain and that the virus doesn't get out. Yeah.
Which is insane because I'm sure 28 years later, y'all have some way of identifying
a way to
this fucking
neutralize the virus.
and you can start taking people out of here. They could have dropped some nerve gas. They could have did so many things to these zombies, but they don't give a fuck. You know, and again, the script says this, but it just, like I said, the whole zombies as a whole doesn't make sense to me. It never will. Now, like I said, if you tell me a fucking, you know, some of the video games I play, I can pull up fucking skeletons off the ground because I'm a fucking wizard. Cool. Those are zombies we got going around. They stay up until the fucking magic go away. Cool. I can rock with that. But just saying, okay, this virus killed, it's a decaying body. And what I'm last thing I'm saying about this, you go back to something like The Walking Dead, and you actively see a decaying body running at a nigga full speed and ripping a nigga apart. No, the weight of your body is going to cave that leg in. You're not running after anybody. You're not ripping off anybody. Matter of fact, if you grab me and I pull away, your fucking arm should fall off. And it's just an arm attached to me. Now, I might have a scratch or something, but you should not be able to rip me apart like that.
Yeah.
And again, so it's not just this movie and zombies, it's zombies in general.
That's fair.
And I don't remember where we was at because you got me on track.
No, I did
about
get
Fast
you on
and
a
Furious.
rant. I'll try my best to get us on track. No, the real part I wanted to get to though, because it's like to me the best part of the movie is when Spike and Isla or Ice, I don't want to mispronounce the mom's Isla. I'm about to say the Spike's mom who's sick, when they end up linking with Dr. Kelson, and you really see the bond between his mom, Spike's mom, and Spike, like really throughout their journey. Honestly, like to me, those are some of the best scenes where they're just speaking with each other and you kind of get a real
Just
true
chilling.
idea of what, just them chilling, like no zombies, nothing. And you get an idea of what their relationship is like. That did a lot to me for Spike as a character, like those scenes. And then when they end up with Dr. Kelson and they have that heartfelt moment of, you know, him, you know, trying to, you know, talk to Dr. Kelson, explain to him the situation. Hey, my mom's sick. That's why I brought you here. And a lot's happened at this point. Like they have a whole human baby that came out of a zombie at this point. Like they went through a lot to get here. You know what I'm saying? So
even honestly, the interactions with Eric, with Eric there. So Eric is the sailor or soldier, however,
or the Marine, or
I don't know,
SEAL, Navy guy, military personnel. I'm just calling that.
But you know, even Eric, because you know he'd say something and then he, you know, why did she keep calling you father? And he says like she's confused.
Yeah,
but you see, like I said, even during those scenes, you see how he's taking care of her. He's like, yo, I'm not leaving her.
Yeah, that he makes that very apparent. Like
I'm
no matter what,
her. So we can die if you want to. You can leave us all you want to, but I'm with her.
Yeah, he makes that like a strong point throughout this whole journey. Like, I don't give a fuck what else is happening. I don't care what else is going on. I am here to protect my mom and make sure she gets the help she needs.
And you know what that did to me? That again, like I said, their relationship, cool. But that just cemented the fact that he's still a child. Like, because seeing everything that's wrong with her, nigga,
it's clear
he was a doctor 28 years ago. It ain't no hospitals, it ain't no this, but he, in his head, I'm going to save my mother by going to this doctor.
Yeah. Who lives in the middle of the mainland surrounded by zombies.
Because he doesn't, again, he hasn't been alive long enough to know about hospitals, really. He hasn't been alive to know about these viruses. Not the zombie viruses, but fucking
just general viruses,
general sickness and shit.
They do a good job of showcasing that, how like the people who are still in Britain that are dealing with the zombie apocalypse, how little they know about the outside world. There's a lot of, like, you know what I'm saying? There's scenes with Eric where he's like, yeah, you know, my friend back home's a delivery driver. He's like, oh, you probably don't even know what that is. And then he whips out his cell phone and Spike is like, what's that? You know what I'm saying? Like, they make it a point to show like, hey, these people have been cut off from the outside world for a long time. So as the rest of the world has been advancing and progressing, the way that like these people are stuck in whatever year the virus happened, they are stuck in that year. As far as their knowledge of the world, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of things that have came now that they just don't have knowledge of. I'm glad they hammered that point home to kind of show the difference of their experience from the outside world that they're really disconnected from. And it speaks to your point about how Spike would have the assumption that, oh, he's a doctor, let me just get my mom over to him, not really understanding like, no, dude, he was a doctor when the virus hit, and it's been 28 years after the fact, and you guys don't have access to hospitals anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Once he tells him, like, first of all, I thought, what's his, Dr. Klein? What you say? Dr. Kelson. I thought he was on some freak shit at first.
It looked like he was when he first popped up. I'm like, who is what?
when I seen again, just seeing what I seen from her, I was thinking like she had some type of Alzheimer's or dementia or something like that.
Yeah.
But they find out what they find out and when he do his exam, like, ah. But even then, they tell him like, I don't have any diagnostic equipment, but this is what I think is going on. And he's like,
Mhm.
okay, do something about it. And she understands at this point
That
because
it's over. Yeah.
I don't know how they don't say how old she's supposed to be or how old Aaron Taylor Johnson's supposed to be. But
Mhm.
I'm a big fan of Jodie Comer. I love everything a lot of things that she's in, especially Killing Eve, which I was introduced to her, I think. But they don't say how old they're supposed to be in this movie. So we don't know. We can only assume that they were kids when this virus started,
Mhm.
but they understand or they have some type of knowledge of the sickness that she has. And the
Yeah.
doctor obviously knows. And I think they both understand that at the same time. And I'll let you finish.
Yeah, no, it makes it very clear that like they're Isla and Dr. Kelson are kind of in lockstep of what's happening here. Like, he does his examination of her. He comes back to them and says, "Hey, basically you have cancer." And like immediately, Isla kind of hints that like she either already knew or had a strong indication
Yeah.
that that's what she was dealing with. She just didn't want to tell Spike because she just didn't have the heart to.
Which
She
they
even
probably
says
would
like,
still be in the village
yeah,
if they did.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? She even says like I was waiting for someone else to tell you and no one did. I couldn't tell you myself. I couldn't bring myself to do it. So Dr. Kelson breaks the news and you see Spike just kind of he's in like a very strong denial. Like, well, okay, there's a hospital he somewhere far away. I'll go there and I'll travel and I'll come
I'll
back
get the
and
medicine.
I'll get the medicine. He's like, no, there's no amount of medicine. There's nothing I can do for her. Like there's absolutely nothing I can do for her at this point. And watching Spike have to come to that realization in front of his mom, his mom to have to kind of watch him go through that realization that he's about to lose her. Like that, to me, that scene made the movie for me. That scene was enough for me to go like, the journey it took to get to this point, if this is the story they were trying to tell, I thought was well executed. But there were parts of the journey to lead up to this point that in the moment I didn't like. But leading up to that conclusion, I'm like, okay, seeing the story kind of in its full context now, I've gained an appreciation for the journey it took us to get here. But in the moment of the journey, there were parts that took me out of the movie along the way. So I'm really going back and forth with my rating on this one, but I'll go ahead and give it
Well, hold on. It's a few more points I want to hit on before you give
that you
your
want to hit
rating.
on. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So I already talked about how I didn't like really. I mean, I'm not gonna say I didn't like it. I'm gonna say his father did rush him, which again, this is part of the story that we
Mm-hmm.
need because I believe that a 14-year-old Spike would have been a little smarter than the 12-year-old Spike because 12 ain't shit.
Yeah.
Most people, you still a kid till you 22. To me,
Mm-hmm.
so 12-year-old taking this nigga out to kill, yeah, they're
Different world. It's a different world.
and this is what I mean because they say, hey, they're already dead. And this is again to the whole zombie point. They're dead. You're telling us they're dead. So if they're dead, they should be decaying. Anyway, but you're taking him out to kill something. Yeah, hundred people that hunt take their kids out younger than that sometimes to even go hunting. But when something's actively trying to kill you, there's
It's a
going
little
to be fear.
different
Yeah,
versus going to hunt some deer. Like
yeah.
you're hunting something that is
There's
fighting
going to
back.
be fear. Y'all,
Yeah.
y'all know that there are fucking alphas around. You don't bring a little more protection.
Yeah, no,
So
that's kind of what was crazy to me. To your point, like because immediately when the dad saw the deer head that was like spiked up on the tree, he looked at it, and you immediately saw the fear in him because he was like, "I only know one type of zombie that could have did that." And they start traveling. He's telling them like, "Hey, Spike, keep your head peeled, keep moving." And then they see the alpha. So I was like, "Okay, you were aware of what these things were, and still decided to take your kid out here to go hunting." Knowing that zombies like that were out there. It's a little interesting.
And we seen
Interesting
how
choice.
unprepared Spike was once they were, like I said, once they actually started trying to kill them, how unprepared he was. He wasn't hitting his shots
Yeah.
like he did before. He killed, I think he killed what, 2 zombies maybe?
At least one. At least
At least
the one.
that first one.
Yeah.
Now after that happened, he killed a lot more zombies.
Yeah.
But we're still in he's a fucking kid. He's unprepared for this to fight something that's trying to kill him when he doesn't have to. It's really different between I want to do this and I have to do this.
Yeah.
That was something his dad was pushing him to do. And I thought we knew he had a good relationship with his dad, which I believe he had the same relationship he had with his mom. Until we seen his dad was fucking around on the mom. And I
His
think
sick and dying mom at
sick
that.
and dying mom. I think that whole thing was rushed. I don't think he should have his relationship with his dad should have been so good up until that point because
Because it made the switch kind of feel jarring
it
almost.
made it
Yeah.
feel like almost like I really hate this nigga already, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It
But
was a quick flip. Like we just spent at least a good 45 minutes to an hour
these niggas having a great
focused
time
on their
together.
relationship and how positive it was.
Yeah.
And then within 2 scenes it flipped.
Yeah, so that I wasn't a fan of that storytelling on that part. And maybe that's something that was cut out in the movie. We had some deleted scenes. Maybe they should have cut some other shit out. Spike was an asshole as a 12-year-old too, because this nigga set a whole fucking workshop on fire so he can escape with his mama. And you just fucked the rest of the village, my nigga.
Yeah, like there were supplies in there, bro. It was some shit that niggas low-key needed. Like
he ain't give a fuck. He's a fucking kid. I'm gonna save my mother. I couldn't kill this zombie trying to kill me, but I'm gonna walk this far to go do this. All right. I think it may have been 1 or 2 points. I already talked about how I feel about zombies and zombies in general.
yeah.
Obviously we know why no one came to save them because that's a rule they have. You ain't going. So at the end, when they drop the baby off, this nigga runs out. It's fucking high tide and
high tide too. He wasn't giving a fuck.
What did you think you was gonna do, nigga? Take your stupid ass back inside,
boy. The man's desperate to try to get his son back. Damn,
this nigga just flailing. This nigga flailing in water, dog. Take your stupid ass back inside. And this is the problem I had. There was nobody at the gate this time because when they had a trip planned, the beginning of the movie, they were greeted at the gate by 5 different people on top of a nigga, 2 or 3 niggas in the watchtower.
Yep.
And then the 2 or 3 niggas in the watchtower, when they was on their way back, these niggas was sleeping.
Yeah, no, that's another thing I learned. I was like, oh, so y'all be on trash because like niggas low-key need you right now. Like they're getting chased by Alpha. It's low tide or like kind of low-ish tide. Like, nigga, and the Alpha can low-key get in the village right now if y'all don't like step in. Like y'all really lacking right now.
That was my thing, bro. If anything, at any time that somebody should be staring down this fucking thoroughway, I would guess, is when it's low tide and anything can come up here.
Yeah.
Y'all
like you're kind of vulnerable at that point.
Yeah, you're vulnerable as fuck. I'm surprised y'all village lasted that long. It may have, and then just talk about the one thing I want to talk about with Samson was when the sailor, soldier, marine type, whatever the fuck. So they're dressed in like army gear, but then they say that he says that I joined the Navy, which would make him a sailor. I don't know how the Swedish Navy works. Maybe he is fucking Swedish Navy SEAL. Maybe he's I don't know. It just was weird. But maybe he's a Coast Guard, Swedish Coast Guard. But when they're running from the zombie, first of all, these niggas terrible soldiers, so they couldn't have been Navy SEALs. These niggas sucked.
Right? No, they were getting picked off very easily. Granted, it was the Alpha that got I feel like a decent amount of them. But when they're first introduced, they was getting got by some regular zombies very quickly. I was like, these are the same zombies I just got watched get killed by bow and arrows, and they on y'all ass like this.
Bullets like a mother. Y'all don't know to shoot these motherfuckers in the head yet. So they wasting bullets. They running. You see it, your friend get bit, and you gonna stare at him instead of nigga. You know it's no saving him. Leave. You want to kill him, put him out of his misery? This nigga sitting there like, nigga, run. What the fuck are you doing?
He wasting. He fuck around to get bit.
You get tackled by this motherfucker. So then they get into this little whatever fucking tunnel they was in, which was crazy because it was closed, right? They opened it. Fucking Alphas are a little smarter, so they know how to open shit. I did it. But when he grabbed the first one, I don't know if y'all can see, but I had to close my eyes for a minute and think about how fucking stupid this part was. He grabbed the nigga and pulled him up and choked him, and he held him. And the other 2 niggas was just screaming.
Like literally just looked at him like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. It's like,
they could have saved
y'all can either A, try to save him and start shooting, or if y'all just really want to be assholes, y'all can run. But standing there just shouldn't be on the table of things that you're doing at this point.
They watched this nigga take his head off.
And then said, fuck it, I guess we next. Like dead ass. I didn't understand. I didn't understand the logic there.
So like I said, it's a few things. And again, it's all movies. We know why it happened because the story told it to happen. Or the script said told it to happen. But it could have happened a little better where Eric was the last one and he needed to, and he's helping them and do all this shit. And then them going into this gas station, I'm like, okay, well, why is the gas built up in the gas station inside the gas station? where there's no gas at.
You just started nitpicking at anything.
No, because I seen it. I'm like, okay, it's gas. Get down. They got down. And I actually want to see how the zombies reacted to breathing in that gas because obviously they still need air to breathe. So that was interesting. Like it's few things that I want to know more of. It's a few things that was just completely stupid and didn't make any sense at all. But I think I want to say he was about to make me forget this shit. This shit went from sci-fi to fucking a comedy, I guess, because why was it a group of niggas in velour tracksuits and blonde hair doing fucking backflips?
Shit felt like a completely different movie than the one I had just got done watching. No, like
I low-key wanted Spike finally about to die.
I forgot about that scene, low-key, because I wanted to. It was so to give context, obviously if you've seen the movie, you
nigga, it ain't no context at all.
Yeah, or to give just so the young kid from the beginning of the movie, young Lou, I forgot the kids. I think he introduced himself as Jimmy as an adult. So the younger version of Jimmy.
This would have took place during the 28 days later.
Yeah, like this would have been like around the start of the outbreak. Little Jimmy and basically his whole family gets attacked by zombies. The zombies basically take out all his people, and you just see the zombies take out his dad, his crazy ass dad, and you see him take this cross from his dad and run. Boom. Movie cuts to 28 years later, and then you follow Spike and the main characters. At the end of the movie, you see this dude show up. He has the same cross on, so you know it's Jimmy from the beginning of the movie. And then him and like basically like the tracksuit mafia,
the fucking Power Rangers
from the Power Rangers / the tracksuit mafia from the fucking Hawkeye series pop out and just start killing these zombies with fucking golf clubs and chains and all types of weird shit.
And he's being nice because they killed them in the most, if you seen
cartoonish type ways.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, and you seen how when they were in not in their suits, but I think they was at the construction site
when they was just fighting them just as regular people. They had
dancing
suits
and shit. And, they doing backflips off the fucking putties or
that's literally what this literally what this looked like.
That's how these niggas was fighting. And I'm just like, yo, what?
And it's literally like Power Rangers because they all got different colors on. It's literally like Power Rangers. It was like that was by far the most like out of left field thing I've seen a movie do in a while. Where like we set up say what you will, when I said this feels like two different movies about Spike and his dad and then Spike with his mom, those two, even though those two things felt separate, the tone always felt the same. The tone didn't feel like the tone of the movie changed. It just felt like the plot and what we were following and the goals just kind of changed over the course of two scenes, like it was the first half and the second half. And this felt like a different movie than what I had just spent like an hour and 50 minutes watching. Like this felt like it was plucked from a different movie.
So how did you feel about it though? Like
I hated it.
Okay, so and that's the crazy part because
there's no other way to. There's no other deeper explanation I need.
I hated it in this movie because, like you said, that what the fuck did I just watch? But I think if that would have been the movie, because to me that feels goofy. It's very cartoony. I like that. That was funny. I could watch a whole movie of that because it's not too serious to me. It's goofy. They supposed to do dumb shit, but like you said, it takes out of what the fuck I just watched with honestly this serious ass story of life and death with and relationships between your parents. And
that's really what the movie's about, honestly.
And then these fucking, like I said, velour tracksuits, blonde hair. Are they getting hair dye? Like what,
bro? Because it was just the wildest thing I've seen a movie do in a while. Of like having a very consistent, dark, serious, emotional, and heartfelt tone for like an hour and 50 minutes, and then like the last 5 minutes saying, "Hey, yeah, fuck all that." That's literally what that shit felt like. I was in complete shock watching that. I'm like, there's no way I'm watching the same movie right now. There's no way this is the same movie.
When we watched the opening and all this is happening, because I don't think they call Aaron Taylor Johnson's name for a minute before they finally say his name. But at least from my point of view, I'm thinking he's Jimmy from the beginning of the movie.
They call him Jamie at some point, and then you realize it's not him.
I'm like, okay, this is that's Jimmy, whatever, do all this good shit. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you seen on one of the buildings, it did say some shit like Jimmy was here.
Yeah, I did peep that. I peeped it initially when it happened, and it didn't register to me that they were referring to the boy from the first.
That's another
scene
reason
until we got
thought
to the
it was
end.
him. Because again, he said like, yeah, we've been through here before. A lot of people been here before, but just look around anyway.
Yeah.
So you watch all of this and then you're like, okay, so I don't think this the nigga from the beginning of the movie. Why is this nigga here? Or
Yeah.
why did we see that? I still think it is, but we not sure. And then the end of the movie come up and then you see the nigga cross, you see the they got gold cat teeth. Like they look
Yep.
like a British gang.
Literally.
It was just so fucking out of pocket, like you said, out of left field, out of nowhere. Made no sense. And they're standing on like a it looked like it was a road and they collapsed the road so the zombies could not get out of it. I
Yeah.
don't know who, but somebody collapsed the road so the zombies would stay confined into a certain space. And they come and help fucking this dumbass little kid who is probably gonna be running with this gang in 28 years later, the Bone Temple, which comes out. I don't know why I'm plugging this fucking movie.
You
I
really
might watch
plugging
it.
this movie
I
heavy.
might,
At this point, you might as well fucking watch it. You done plugged it like 3 times.
well, now that I'm thinking about it, bro, I think they said Spike was gonna be in it, but it's supposed to be about Dr. Kelsey. I don't know if this tracksuit
Okay.
mafia gonna be in there. If they not in it,
I really hope not.
I hope they are. If they're in it, I'm gonna watch it because I know it's gonna be goofy. But if
You can do a what you watching on that. You can do it. You can go ahead and do your what you watching on that. Straight on. I'm so straight on anything with those characters in it because I don't know what the fuck that
I
was.
think outside of like I said, the last thing I believe this is the last point I wanted to make was Dr. Kelsey's whole again, it's a bone temple, it's a graveyard, and that whole thing was just weird. Like, how did you like he said he was showing respect and shit, but like why? Why is this what you're doing? Where's everybody else at? Who are you with? Why are you out here by yourself? Where are you sleeping at? Because we even see a part where Samson comes back. He just randomly actually switches to them being chased by Samson. And this nigga Samson can't get into the cellar that they in. This nigga reached through the fucking ground and start pulling this nigga up by his belt, banging his body up against the ground. Like, we know these zombies are smart, but this nigga is not that smart to be like, okay,
apparently he is, and he's just that strong. He too, because I'm just watching that like, damn.
I can't get through this wooden cellar lock, but I can fucking crash
Punch
through the
ground. Nah, it was a lot that, to your point, is a little inconsistent and things that were a little choppy. Because I agree that scene was very jarring. Like, we just had this a very emotional, heartfelt scene of Spike saying goodbye to his mom, and then literally it's like a quick cut, and they're getting chased by Samson.
Because how did he find him?
I was like, where was the whoa? How did we get here? Like, how did we get here?
There was
that was
even
out
a
of
part
nowhere
where they were getting to where he was at, where his space was at. He's like, yeah, this keeps the zombies from getting in. I'm guessing it was some type of little rope bridge. I don't know how deep that river was, but the alphas are not subtle creatures.
Yeah.
But I'm that alpha's gonna run straight towards that motherfucker and then fall off.
Yeah.
Like you said, I don't know if they cut that shit out. We know they cut a lot of shit out of the movie. They film more than they actually put in. I just feel like some parts. I guess this is going to my rating. They cut out some parts that would have gave me more context than they would have gave me more context and kept things in that I didn't need.
Yeah. So go ahead and give us your rating actually of 28 years later.
All right. And with that, I'm gonna say that the whole pregnancy thing was kind of because I thought outside of the Alzheimer's, I thought maybe the mom was infected and had some type of
okay,
immunity to it. And then I read some of the plot of the second one and they said it was immunity in it. So when I see her like put her hands up to the pregnant zombie, and I'm like, okay, yeah, so she got an immunity to this, and they still recognize her as one of theirs, some shit like that. So there's a lot of things that took me out of the main story, which I'm fine with usually, but when it's just so out of left field, like you in the tracksuits, please stop it. The tracksuits didn't bother me because it was the end of the movie, and they only did this to set up the next fucking movie. So I am going to give it mine's actually gonna be, I said I was gonna stop going higher to make myself feel like I'm not hating, but I'm gonna give it a 5 for the simple fact that I don't like horror movies. I don't like zombie movies.
That's
It was a lot
of was fighting an uphill battle to get you to like
it. Was. And I tried to take that out of it because like I said, I didn't enjoy it, but I liked the movie. It was okay. I'm not gonna necessarily watch the shit again, but it did have some shit where I'm like, okay, I will watch another one. So we'll see what the trailers look like for this next one. I may or may not watch it. We will see. But I think the 5 is going to be the best that it can get for the same reasons some that you mentioned. Feeling like we're watching 2 different movies throughout this thing, and cutting out some pretty vital parts with his relationship with his dad.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
And
oh, my,
where
my bad. Go ahead.
no, yeah, and it was just it was a lot of like little things they put in, like that was unnecessary and unneeded, and they didn't elaborate on. Like when he put the bacon, he took the bacon and put it on his mom's dresser or some shit or nightstand. Then he came back, the bacon was still there or some shit like that. And it was like, okay, well, what was the point of giving her the bacon wrapped up in this fucking cloth? And why are you trying to hide it? Essentially, like it was just a lot of things that were added in there. Like I said, we didn't need a lot of things didn't expect. So y'all already know how I feel about sex scenes in movies. Queen and Slim, why the fuck are y'all having sex at the cemetery and y'all running from the law? Like, just shit that don't make sense. And that's how I felt with fucking Samson and these other alphas, bro. Put some fucking clothes on, dog. If they got this
Shit was
mutation,
egregious.
these are new zombies. Get them some clothes on, bro. Like, let them lose their clothes. Why are they losing clothes if they throwing niggas like that? They just
Yeah,
disintegrated.
I needed
It,
that to be addressed too.
it
That's one of
was
my biggest that's one of my
it
biggest
was
complaints, honestly.
so. And just so y'all don't think I'm being weird, even fucking the female zombies, the titties all out. Let's just assume that this you got turned in the middle of, let's say it's the summer. You wearing a t-shirt, fucking panties, dress, whatever, shoes. These niggas ain't even wearing shoes anymore.
They have nothing, like
So
actually nothing.
make a little more sense. I'm not gonna go into the whole zombie thing. I already said how I feel about zombies and why it doesn't make sense. But even these zombies, it was a lot that didn't make sense. They were fucking, they were honing in on motherfuckers. Like there was no way that they knew that they were in that house. They didn't see them run into that house. They went straight upstairs and followed them, and they did not see them do that shit.
Well,
Motherfuckers,
they were just following the pack. They saw one of them had to have seen it, so they was just following the rest.
they didn't, bro. And this is the thing. It was a bunch of houses over there. So how did y'all know that they went into that particular house? It's just it was a lot, and I am kind of nitpicking at this point because the script told them to follow them, but they should have
Yeah.
been following a little more closer because the nigga, that whole scene with him getting the nigga up in the attic and come on now, we don't need this shit. Just throw the little nigga up there, man.
It's
Shit.
just too much
I'm
extra
gonna get,
drama
I'm
for
gonna
you.
give it a 6 because I think a
You
5 is.
copied my whole fucking flow, word for word, bar for bar. God damn.
I do feel like a 5 is really low. A 5 is
Yeah,
really
yeah.
low for me to like a movie, so I'm gonna give it a
Yeah.
6.
I'm gonna give it a 6.5 now.
No, keep your 6, bro. We got different
No,
reasons.
I'm gonna say the reason I'm gonna say 6.5 is because I do think that scene with Dr. Kelson and Spike and his mom was that good.
Okay.
And I do
I
think
get
that the
that.
second half of this movie between Spike and his mom, like their journey together, I thought was the parts where this movie was at its best. I even like the parts between Aaron Taylor Johnson and Spike too, but that second half with his mom, I thought was where this movie was at its best and had its most like development and emotional weight. And I thought like Spike as a character was the strongest character in this movie. Shout out to Alfie Williams, who plays him. Like Spike was the strongest character in this movie by far. So there was a lot of good in this movie that I want to highlight and recognize. So I didn't want to go too low. That's why I'm going to say 6.5. But
But you could have.
the things I didn't like I said, were bad enough to affect my viewing experience and impact my ability to enjoy the things I did like in certain aspects. So I'm gonna go ahead with a 6.5. I do think that the 28 time period later series, like just the 28 days, weeks, years series, I think that there's just a certain style of filmmaking that these movies have that if you're not used to it, you definitely will have to get used to. It's hard to describe if you haven't seen these movies, but I don't know why, for me, the way these films are shot and presented and displayed feels different. Definitely from other zombie films. I can say that confidently. And I will actually have 28 Days Later rated higher than this. I gave that a 7. So, and I definitely liked the journey of that movie from start to finish a lot more than I did this. This one felt like there were, like I said, parts that I leaned up in my seat and I was engaged. And then there were parts that kind of lost me. And it kind of felt like there was a back and forth between that. And there wasn't really a point in this movie outside of that second act, or the second half rather, where it's Spike and Isla on their little adventure. That was really the only stretch in the movie where I kind of just enjoyed it kind of throughout, and there wasn't like that back and forth of, all right, I'm into this, all right, now it's just starting to lose me a little bit. And it goes with that back and forth a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and stick with that 6.5. However, I do appreciate that Danny Boyle and Alex Garland like came together and attempted to keep this franchise going. This got a lot of hype. There is still getting a lot of good reviews overall. So like our opinion is not like the, you know, like how the masses feel about this movie. Like the reviews on this are still pretty good. It's got like a 95 on Rotten Tomatoes or something crazy like that right now. So the vast majority of people are rocking with this movie, but it obviously wasn't for Vito because he just don't like horror movies off rip. And there were parts that just didn't draw me in. I feel like this movie was specifically made for critics. This movie was made for film critics, and then they were kind of like, if the audience likes it, they likes it. That's kind of what this movie feels like at certain points.
I'm gonna say critics, but also like, because zombies is already a very niche fucking thing. But like the 28 days later zombies is even more niche, and it was made specifically for them. If I'm a creator of something that I really love doing, I'm going to make another one. So for them to come back after all these years to make another one, it's probably another one of their passion products.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna let you lead us out with this. I don't know if you got anything else, but if I'm reading a note from my son who's missing, and he says this baby is named Isla and it came from a zombie, that motherfucker going in the water. Get out of here.
No, I ain't gonna lie. That is one thing that Spike, you needed to be there to explain that, because what the fuck do you mean this baby came from a zombie? But it's not affected though. What?
How do you know this, nigga?
How you and if you do know this, why are you sending that in a note? Like that's just something I'm just supposed to believe. Like, oh yeah, it's about the baby came from a zombie, but the baby's not a zombie though. Huh?
That baby would have went right in the water where
Hey, bro, Spike took a big risk assuming that the village was just gonna believe that.
That's what I'm looking at, because
he took a big risk just assuming they was just gonna buy that.
I'm gonna have to just pay for my sins in the afterlife, but I don't know what the fuck this is.
Yeah, like, well, don't tell me this baby came from a zombie in a note, bro. I need you to explain that. You need to give context on why you think that.
And I'm sorry, because they just keep going. I'm thinking about it. We did see a toddler fucking.
We saw a child zombie in this, so we know that that's possible. We know that's a thing. So but before we get into another tangent, let us know what you all liked. If you all like 28 years later, or, you know, if you kind of on our side with it, it was just kind of or you weren't really feeling it at parts. Are you excited for what's coming up next, since Vito done plugged it about 5 times throughout the episode? And, you know, how do you feel about the previous 2 films, 28 Days Later, 28 Weeks Later? I know there's some varying opinions on 28 Weeks Later and the quality of it, just from what I've heard from people who have seen it. So, you know, let us know all your thoughts in the comments. We do appreciate all the discords. Always continue to like, comment, and subscribe. Sheesh. We do appreciate all the support. And until next time, this is the Reel Junkies. Peace.